Good evening, everyone. Erev Tov, Dr. Levy, Shavua
Shalom,
Tov.
Rav. Shabbat Tov, Rav.
Dr. Les, we would like to wish you long life.
Thank you, Rav. It's going to be it's going to be my father's yahrzeit this week.
Yeah, you're late dead. You're late dead. That's right.
Over Shabbos. Thank you, Rav. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. How was the Shabbos, Dr. Les?
Baruch Hashem. You know, Rav, I tell you, so much is happening. Just before Shabbos, we heard of he was the only opposition to Putin, the Russian president, Navalny, and he's 47 years old, and he was imprisoned in Siberia, and they say he went for a walk, and then he died. And it's unbelievable. I don't know if you have the news in South Africa, because South Africa is very, very pro-Russian, but he was unbelievable that he died at the age of 47, and his mother and his wife flew over 1,000 kilometers to Siberia to retrieve the body, but they weren't given the body. And at the same time, we heard that the Russian forces had a victory over, it's a town in Ukraine, Avdiivka, where there were 32,000 inhabitants. 31,000 had fled. The town was totally destroyed. So they conquered a town. The Ukrainian forces had to withdraw. So they basically conquered ruins. But what's interesting, Rav, is where was the South African government? How come they didn't run to the international court? Why wasn't Naledi Pandor? Why wasn't she like, we don't hear a word, not a peep. But they did run to the court to condemn Israel about Rafah. And what's amazing is that the court refused the request, which I think is unbelievable. The International Court of Justice refused the South African court, the South African request to stop the Rafah, what's happening in Rafah. And now, what's happening, there's a hospital called the Nasser Hospital, and I had a patient, my last patient that I had today, their son, the mother told me, was actually in that hospital. And they've just arrested the so-called CEO of the hospital, or the person who's in charge, because they are in direct collusion with Hamas. And they found that there were hostages that were held inside that hospital. It's just unbelievable. Also, what's been found now, and they're finding all this, at the UN UNRWA headquarters, were supplying the electricity to the tunnels where Hamas were in. So when their leaders say we didn't know, how could they not have known when they were digging underground? And they say it's more than 1.5 times the London Underground. Whoever's been in London and you go to the underground, it is a massive. Where was all the sand? Where was all the noise? How could they not have known? Of course they knew. They are in cahoots. All the UNRWA, all the leaders, and the Undersecretary for UNRWA said that Hamas isn't a terrorist organization. It's a political organization. So the hypocrisy is just unbelievable. Right? It's like, we see evil in its eye, and you're having people like in England protesting, and they actually wanted to come to the Jewish areas as well, but the police actually stopped them. And what's amazing is today, and I'm going to end with this, Lord Cameron, who's the Foreign Secretary, is on his way to the Falkland Islands. And he is insistent that the Falkland Islands, which is basically a part of Argentina, it's right on the border with Argentina, why does that belong to England when it's right next to Argentina, has said categorically that this will remain part of England. And people who live in Gibraltar, which is on the southern tip of Spain, and I've been there, they say, but this is part of Spain. Why should it be part of England? What has England got to do with the south of Spain? But England, they have, the Lord Cameron said he's insistent that there should be a Palestinian state, but they themselves have territories far, thousands and thousands of kilometers away from mainland England, and they are demanding that that should remain part of their empire. So, I don't know. It's we're living in a very, very crazy world, but Bezrat Hashem, we just hope and pray that that our hostages, which is the most important thing, will be rescued and will come back, and there'll be better days, and we'll have Bezrat Hashem a proper peace, not a piece of paper, but a proper peace.
Bezrat Hashem. Shukran. Thank you, Dr. Liz, for all the update. Rabotai, I would like to dedicate the shiur in the memory of Esther Kaden Bat Ketshia, Mordechai Ben Rahma, Tamar Bat Zehava, Eitan Ben Keren ואבישי נאה, מלכה רג'ינה בת ג'ויה, פרחה בת סלחה, שהיום יום פקידת שנתה, יעקב סלומון בן פרחה, נשמתם תהיה צרורה בצור החיים. Also, I would like to dedicate the shiur in health of Menashe Naji Ben Parha, Lior Bat Miriam, Arav Moshe Ben Bahia Batya, Arav Moshe Ben Devorah, Arav Shlomo Yehuda Ben Dalia, Arav Abraham Ben Marina, Arav Devorah Bat Esther, Sheina Keila Bat Hana, Mordechai David Ben Leah, Yehuda Hillel Ben Shulamit Leah, Haim Nahum Ben Pesa Reza Kohen, Baruch Ben Sarah Hiena, Uva Kaden Bat Tali Esther, Leah Bat Rachel, Pesach Yitzhak Ben Ela, Ayala Eden Bat Rivka, Natalie Malka Bat Sarah Rivka Tal, Yehuda Ben Eliezer, ומאיר Ben Yehuda. Please God, רפואה שלמה to them, ולכל חולה ופצועי עמו בית ישראל, בכל מקום שהם. So, שבוע טוב, everyone. As I send the message, tonight we're going to speak about Suedat Shlishit. And Suedat Shlishit, we're going to explain what is so important about Suedat Shlishit, the time of Suedat Shlishit, the virtue of Suedat Shlishit, and then we can also see who is it from the fourth father, Suedat Shlishit, being put against or awards who is Suedat Shlishit. So first of all, what the Zohar call it? The Zohar HaKadosh in chapter 2 in page 88, folio 2. The Zohar HaKadosh says something very interesting about Suedat Shlishit. And the Zohar HaKadosh said, I'm going to say it in Aramaic, and then I'm going to translate it. Beyama de Shabbata, kadmata idan de tzlituna, de minha, re'ava de re'avim ishtakah. What does it mean? In a time of the minha of Shabbat, that Shabbat, or in time of the davening of minha of Shabbat, start a special time. That time called Re'ava de Re'avim. Re'ava de Re'avim. I'm sure that many of you heard that concept of Re'ava de Re'avim. What does it mean, Re'ava de Re'avim? Re'ava de Re'avim in English translation, I'm translating it from Aramaic to Hebrew, Retzon, Kol HaRetzonot. That means the wish of all the wishes. And we'll explain what does it mean, Retzon, Kol HaRetzonot. Hello, Marky, Erev Tov, Shavua Tov. Thank you for joining us. What does it mean, Retzon, Kol HaRetzonot? The wish of all the wishes. That means the time of Minha of Shabbat, it's a special time we see from the Zohar HaKadosh. To understand the Zohar, we have to go to certain Mekubalim to understand what are they speaking about. And first of all, I'm going to start with Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Shapira. Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Shapira, Mimidinov. He born in a city of Yombrak, or Yombrok, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, in Galicia. He born around 235 years ago, plus minus. He wrote a famous book that's called Bnei Yisachar. Bnei Yisachar is a book that there's a lot of Kabbalistic thing in that book. And in this book, there is Ma'amare Shabbat. What does mean Ma'amare Shabbat? The subject of Shabbat. He speak about the Shabbos. In Ma'amar Het, let's call it chapter 8, in verse 1, he actually bring something very interesting, and he said like this. And he said, Zman Re'avad Re'avim, the time of the wish of all wishes. When is that time? That special time. He said, Bizman Suedat Shlishit, and a time that we eat the third meal on Shabbat. Okay? Understand? But what's hiding behind? He says, She'az, that then, listen to that, it's towards the end of Shabbat. It's towards the end of Shabbat. And he heard from his own rabbi. He heard that from his own rabbi, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Meriminov. Rabbi Menachem Mendel Meriminov was a great Kabbalistic. He born in the city of Hamburg, that's the right word to say, in Germany. He born around 279 years ago. And Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Shapira, in his book, Bnei Yisachar, bringing in the name of his own rabbi, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Meriminov. And he said that you know why the time of Suedat Shlishit, it's called Re'avad Re'avim, because it's towards the end of Shabbat, the wish of all wishes. Because it's towards the end of Shabbat, it's called Re'avad Re'avim, the wishes of all wishes. What's happening here? So we have to understand what's happening here. So Rabbi Menachem Mendel Meriminov explained why the time of Suedat Shlishit, that's awards, just towards the end of Shabbat, just before Shabbat end, that time, that special time called the Re'avad Re'avim, that means the wish of all wishes. And he explained like this. Listen what he said, Rabotai, and we can understand what's hiding behind that time. And we'll see that that time is so crucial, it's so special, as almost Yom Kippur, if not even more than Yom Kippur. Listen what he said. He said that the time of the Re'avad Re'avim is just before the end of Shabbat, just before Shabbat end. He said, when did HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, start to creating the world? It was Sunday, the first day, Yom Aleph, Yom Rishon, the first day that HaKadosh Baruch Hu started the creation. He said that before that time, it was the time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, at that time, just before the beginning of the first day of the creation, that starts in the evening, HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to create the world. At that time, that we call it Motzei Shabbat, okay, that we call it Saturday night, Motzei Shabbat, HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided just before the end of Shabbat to create the world. And that's why that time, that between Mincha of Shabbat to the end of Shabbat, because before Tzeta Shabbat, it's a excel time. It's such an important, such a higher level time that it's excelled all the time. It's a special time that we call it Re'avad Re'avim, the wish of all wishes. Why? Say Rabbi Menachem Mendel Meriminov, because in that time, exactly in that specific time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Almighty, the Creator, decide that He gonna create the world. So the same like in that time that He decided to create the world, okay, that was a special time. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided then to create the world. That time forever will stay a special time. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu at that time decide to create the world. What does that time mean? We'll speak about it just now. I would like to speak about the virtue, first of all, of Suedat Shlishit, and then we channel the Sheol slowly towards that what we call Re'avad Rabim. So why is it so important, okay, to eat Suedat Shlishit? Listen what the Maran Shulchan Aruch say. Maran Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo. What is mean Maran? Many people asking what it mean Maran. Maran, it's Rashi Tevot. Mimatayim Rabbanim Nismach. That's mean from 200 rabbi, he got his smicha. That means 200 rabbis given him the smicha to become a rabbi. Maran Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo. Rabbi Yosef Karo born in the city of Toledo. He born in Toledo in Spain around 536 years ago, plus minus 535 years ago. Okay? In Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Resh Tzadik Aleph, that means 291, verse 1, Sa'if Aleph, say the Maran Shulchan Aruch like this: יהיה זהיר מאוד לקיים סעודה שלישית. A person should be very careful to fulfill the mitzvah of the third meal of Shabbat. That's what the Maran Shulchan Aruch said. The Mishnah Brura that was written by the Hafetz Chaim, in the same verse, in Siman Resh Tzadik Aleph, 291, he said like this, and he actually bring what Hazal telling us in the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat in page 117, folio 2. Hazal said like this: Hayav Adam, Hazal in the Gemara Masechet Shabbat 117, 2. Hazal say Hayav Adam le'echol shalosh seudot b'Shabbat. Hazal in the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat say a person obligated to eat 3 meals on Shabbat. And we're going to explain those 3 meals, and we're going to explain the virtue of each meal. Okay? Hazal in the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat in page 118, folio 1, because that's what we brought, that the person obligated to eat 3 meals, that was in 117 too. In 118, folio 1 in the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, Hazal say like this. Hazal explained the virtue of the 3 meals and the rewards that the person received. And there Hazal say like this: Kol amekayem shalosh seudot b'Shabbat, a person that eat 3 meals on Shabbat. Okay, we'll explain what they are. Nitzol mishalosh po'aniyot. That means that the person gets redeemed, gets saved from 3 different calamities. Listen what Hazal say in the Gemara. Nitzol mechivlo shel Mashiach, midina shel Gehenam, and the third one, mimilchemet gogo magog. I will explain. Chivlo shel Mashiach, the pain burst of Mashiach. Midina shel Gehenam, that's the second one. That's mean from the judgment of Gehenna. The third one, Milchemet Gogo Magog, from the wall of Armageddon. How does it work? Hazal explained that the person that eats Seudah Rishona, the first meal of Shabbat, it's on Friday night. Rabotai, Friday night, okay, that's Seudat Shabbat. Okay? A person that eat on Friday night Seudah, will explain just now what is a Seudah. I will explain what does it mean, Seudah. Hazal say a person that eats Seudat Rishona, okay, Nitzol mechivlo shel Mashiach. That means a person that eat the first meal on Friday night, being redeemed from the pain burst of coming of the Mashiach. The person that eats second Seudah, Second Sauda is after davening Musaf. After a person finished the daven Musaf, can be in the morning, can be in after 12 o'clock, after midday, whatever time is it. That's called second Sauda. That means the main meal on Shabbat. Okay, a person that eat that meal, okay, he been saved from the Nashal Gehenna, from the judgment of Gehenna. A person that eats Suedat Shlishit, Suedat Shlishit is after davening Mincha, after a person daven Mincha on Shabbat, Nitzal Mimilchemet Gog Magog. That means he been saved from the war of Armageddon. That means the 3 meals of Shabbat, the virtue of them is to save a person from 3 different calamities that inevitably going to be in the world. Okay, so the first Sauda is Friday night. The second Sauda is Shabbos lunchtime, let's call it. And the third Sauda, that's Suedat Shlishit, and that's what we're speaking about, that's after davening Mincha. Okay, after a person daven Mincha, have to eat a meal. What is a meal? What do we consider a meal? So a meal, there is a mahloket. What is a meal? Lehatchila, a person wanted to say that a meal is kabeitza. A person has to eat a piece of bread, kabeitza. How much is kabeitza? Kabeitza is 58 grams, but let's round it to 60. It's easier to remember 60. Come the Mishnah Berurah in Siman Resh Tzadik Aleph, that means 291, Sa'if Katan Daled, that means in verse 4, the Mishnah Berurah say that he can even fulfill kazait. What is kazait? Kazait is 28 grams, but let's round it to 30. So if a person eat Sauda, what is Sauda? To eat a bread in a volume and an amount of lechatchila 60 grams or b'di'avad 30 grams. Okay, now those Saudot Shabbat, those the meal of Shabbat. But what's happening if a person, when he comes to Suedat Shlishit, usually a person after the meal of Shabbat, after lunch, he feels full. It's very difficult to eat. So the Shulchan Aruch say that a person should be clever enough, okay, not to eat too much in lunchtime, that when he comes to Suedat Shlishit, he can eat at least kabeitza or kazait bread, to eat 60 or 30 grams of bread on that shoulder. And then he fulfilled the mitzvah. In summer, it's not so difficult because we eat it around 12 o'clock, until you come to Suedat Shlishit, it's already around 6:45, if not 6:50. So you can eat a little bit, 30 grams, 60 grams of bread, it's nish gefela. When is the problem? The problem comes in winter, that Shabbos ends very early. So a person has to be very smart not to eat too much in lunchtime. That's how the Shulchan Aruch explains. But what's happened if a person can't eat bread? He's really full. If he eat bread, it's gonna be like meshaketz, like he push it. It's overdone it. Okay. So Hazal explained, the Mishnah Berurah, the Shulchan Aruch said that yes, if he can't do it, he can do it on mezonot. He can eat anything that is like a mezonot, that you said the bracha of mezonot. And even if that heavy, like savories, call it mezonot or biscuit, whatever is it, okay? If that's even heavy, he can eat fruit or vegetables. And then he fulfill the Suedat Shlishit. He can fulfill the Suedat Shlishit. So we see from here that a person have to eat on Shabbat 3 meals. The Seudah Rishona is Friday night, I repeat. Seudah Shniya, it's Shabbos lunchtime. Seudah Shlishit, that's the third meal, a person have to eat it after Mincha. The Zohar HaKadosh say in Helek Bet, okay, page Pei Amud Bet, that means 88 folio 2, that's the time that called Re'ava de Re'avim. That time called a special time, the wishes of all wishes. Why? We explain because then HaKadosh Baruch Hu at that specific time decide to create the world. We have 3 Seudot in Shabbat, we say. The Seudah Rishona, it's towards Avraham Avinu. Seudah Shniya, it's towards Yitzhak Avinu. Seudah Shlishit, it's towards Yaakov Avinu. And Seudah Revi'it, that called Melaveh Malka, that we're not going to speak about it today, I spoke about it in previous showing, it's called Seudat David HaMelech. It's towards David HaMelech, King David. Chachmei Asod, the mystical rabbi, explained why the Seudah Shlishit, it's towards Yaakov Avinu. The mystical rabbi explained that the Sfirot, in the Kabbalah there is Sfirot. What is mean Sfirot? How HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself here on earth. That means in this physical world. How did HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveal himself in a physical world? And the Sfirah of Yaakov Avinu is Sfirat HaTiferet. And Seudah Shlishit, it's towards the Tiferet. Okay? That means Sfirat HaTiferet. What does it mean? What we call it splendor, glory, beauty. That's why it's called Sfirat HaTiferet. That means the Seudah Shlishit, in a mystical terms, is Tiferet. Keneged Sfirat HaTiferet. And that's Yaakov Avinu. That is Tiferet. What does it mean? Just briefly, just for us, not that I understand, I don't understand, but I'm going to try to explain it, that Yaakov Avinu actually bridging the Chesed of Abraham, that means kindness of Abraham, the Gvura of Yaakov together. He bringing all of them together, and that's called splendor, beauty, glory, whatever you want to call it. And that's Seudah Shlishit. We explain that Rabbi Menachem Mendel Mimirino explained that the time of Seudah Shlishit, it's a special time. Seudah Shlishit, we explain, it's a time that it's not day and it's not night. Rabotai, focus with me. It's not a day, but it's not night. It's what we call a twilight in English. In Hebrew, they call it Dimdume Erev, Ben Arbaim. What it means, Ben Arbaim, that it's not a day, but it's not night yet. That means that time, it's a special time. Why? Because we explain, because then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the creator of the world, decided to create this world. At that time, at that specific time, that was just before the end of Motzei Shabbos, before the first day of the creation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to create the world. Say the mystical rabbi, that time that called Re'ava de Re'avim, that we explain that the time of Seudah Shlishit called Re'ava de Re'avim, the wish of all wishes, that's a translation of Re'ava de Re'avim from Aramaic, it's a special time. It's a time, et ratzon, it's a time of wishes. It's a time of rahamim, mercy. It's a time of chesed, of kindness. It's time of compassion. Say the Rabbeinu Ari HaKadosh, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria Ashkenazi. Rabbi Yitzhak Luria Ashkenazi, he born around 490 years ago. And he wrote a poem that's Bnei Chala. Bnei Chala, it's a song, it's a poem that he wrote for Shabbat. And there he explained something very extraordinary. He said, why that time, just before the end of Shabbat, before Shabbat end, that time called a time of wishes, a time of compassion, a time of mercy, a time of chesed, kindness. Why? Why is it? Just because HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to create the world? So he explained like this. Listen what he said. He said, no. He said, because here we're speaking about depths. He said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually at that time revealed himself at that special time, because it's a special time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu have a longing, a desire, okay, to be with his children, Bnei Israel. It's a time of longing. It's a time of desire. It's a time of wishes that HaKadosh Baruch Hu want to be with us. And that can explain why in Suedat Shlishit, the Hasidim sing nigunim. They're singing a lot of nigunim. But that can explain to us, Rabotai, why Dafka at that time we sing Yedid Nefesh. The song that called Yedid Nefesh. Because that time is a time of longing that we want, we as a Jewish people, we want to connect with the Almighty, with the Creator. And that's what we sing, Yedid Nefesh, Mizmor LeDavid, all different songs. Now we can understand that that time that Hazal says it's the time that the Zohar HaKadosh actually explained, okay? In page 88, folio 2, in volume, in Helek Bet, that's mean volume 2, Sefer Shmot, he explained why it's called Ra'ava De'Ra'avim, the wish of all wishes. That means that time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu have longing to connect to the Jewish people, so he's coming down to us. The same, Rabotai, if we stop here for a second, the same like Ne'ilah of Yom Kippur. There's HaKadosh Baruch Hu coming down. And Ne'ilah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu with us. But we have time like this, Rabotai, that we don't understand. And Suedat Shlishit, after Mincha of Shabbat. Every week, once a week, HaKadosh Baruch Hu coming down with us. The Rashba, it's Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet. Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet, born in the city of Barcelona. He born around 788, 789 years ago in Spain. He wrote a book. It's called Shut HaRashba. Shut, She'elot V'Tshuvot. Question and answers. Okay? There is Shut that's called Shut HaRashba. Sorry. She'elot V'Tshuvot. In Shut HaRashba, he explained and he says something like this. Why Dafka before the Shabbat end, it's become the peak of the time, let's call it. The wish of all the wishes. That's the peak time. Said the Rashba something extraordinary. He said, Kol HaShve'iyot, all the number 7 that you see. When is the peak of the 7 become? Right in the end. And that's why before Shabbat end, that's the peak of the kindness that HaKadosh Baruch Hu show to his children. HaKadosh Baruch Hu show us just before the Shabbat end, the Shabbat leave us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed his kindness, his desire, his mercy, his compassion to us on that peak time. That's why Dafka on just before Motzei Shabbos. The Rokach, it's a book that's been written by Rabbi Elazar Migermiza. Rabbi Elazar Migermiza, he born in the city of Mainz in Germany. He born around 863, 864 years ago, plus minus. And he explained it more in depth. What is that time is so special? Why is that time that we call it Re'avad Re'avim is so important? And he said like this. Listen what he said. He said it's well known that we have a tradition that Gehenna does not work on Shabbat. That means those that passed away and they've been judged, like everyone have to go through Gehenna, because Gehenna is like a washing machine. He said that on Shabbos, they rest. There is no, Gehenna doesn't work on Shabbos. It's not so simple because Hazal there explained, the Mekubalim explained that those that keep Shabbos, for them, Shabbat, Gehenna doesn't work on Shabbat. But those that didn't keep Shabbat, Gehenna work on Shabbat. Okay, continue to work. Said the Rokach, Rabbi Elazar Migermiza, listen what he said. He said, we say in Tfilat Mincha a very important thing. What do we say? Uba leTzion Goel. Okay? He said that, what it means, Uba leTzion Goel? And came a Redeemer to Tzion. Why do we say that? That it's come to tell you that the Redeemer come to cool down the fire of Gehenna on Shabbat. What does it mean? That when we daven on Shabbat and we say Uba leTzion Goel, we have to understand that in Mincha of Shabbat, okay, we already thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he cooling down the heat of Gehenna. And that's what's hiding behind. That means, Uba leTzion Goel, it's to teach us that on Shabbat, HaKadosh Baruch Hu let the people rest. They don't suffer in Gehenna. Those that keep Shabbat. Unbelievable. That's the power of Mincha of Shabbat. Can we understand? That's why we're adding it up. That's why we say Uba leTzion Goel. The Shlonin Rebbe, I'm sure that some of you hear about him, Rabbi Avraham Weinberg. Rabbi Avraham Weinberg, born in Belarus. He born around 221, 220 years ago. And he says something very extraordinary. 2 weeks ago, we read Parashat Yitro. In Sefer Shmot, we read Parashat Yitro. In Parashat Yitro, in chapter 20, verse 11, it says something very interesting, and we say it every Shabbos. Ki sheshet yamim asa, the Almighty, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world in 6 days. Said the Shlonin Rebbe. Rabotai, listen to that, what he said. He said that every week, HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates the world for another week. That means on Motzei Shabbos, just before Motzei Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates and given the world enough strength to be created for the next 6 days until Shabbos. Therefore, on Shabbat, in Mincha time, that we say that that's the time of Re'ava de Re'avim, that the Zohar said the wishes of all wishes. Now we're explaining what's hiding behind all of it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually create the world again for another 6 days. And he said the entire world cannot exist more than a week. Every week, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it again, given it enough energy in our terms, in our language, give it enough energy to be exist for another week. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world for another 7 days. Said the Shlonim Rebbe, Rabbi Abraham Weinberg, listen what he said. He said a human being, a normal human being, it's like a small world. The world have physicality, spirituality, a normal human being have. The world have liquid, we have liquid in our body. Whatever there is in the world, we are like a small world. He said that every week, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just before Shabbos, recreates every human being for another week. That means on a time of Suedat Shlishit, that means that Kol Re'ava De'Re'avim, the wishes of all wishes, said the Shlonim Rebbe, the entire world, in this world that we live, been recreated again for another week. That's what is it called, what the Zohar HaKadosh say in Sefer Shmot 88:2. Remember, Re'ava De'Re'avim, the wishes of all wishes. That's Mincha of Shabbat. What does it come to tell us? That the wishes of all wishes that we explain, what Chazal explained, what the Ari HaKadosh explained, what Rabbi Menachem Mendel Memerinov explained, Memidinov explained, that's time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to create the world, it still exists every week. Rabbi Alexander Ziskin, I'm sure that many of you hear about him. Rabbi Alexander Ziskin, also born in Belarus. He born 285 years ago, plus minus. He wrote a famous book that's called Yesod v'Shoresh HaAvodah. Yesod is a foundation. Shoresh is a root. Avodah is worshipping. That means the foundation and the root of worshipping the Almighty. That's what the idea of the book is. And he said that on Shabbat, we say in Tfilat Mincha, Va'ani tefillati lecha Adonai et ratzon. We say it twice. It's an Siddur. Okay, just after we take the Sefer Torah. It says, why? Because in the Mincha of Shabbat, it's such a great time that at that specific time, it's a Et Ratzon. What it means, Et Ratzon? It's a time of wishes. So when you say that verse, say Rabbi Alexander Ziskin, that you have to focus, what does it mean, the Et Ratzon? It's a time of all wishes. The wishes of all wishes. And that's what the Zohar explained. That means in that time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. And that time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu recreate the world every week. HaKadosh Baruch Hu recreate each one of us again. That means a person can reach to a peak in that time. The same, Rabotai, like in Yom Kippur, in Na'ilah. Was HaKadosh Baruch Hu coming down. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to desire to be with us. And that's why he created us. I mentioned before, there is a book that called Sidur Ya'abet. Sidur Ya'abet, it's a book that's been written by Rabbi Yaakov Emden. Rabbi Yaakov Emden, born in the city of Hamburg in Germany. He born around 326, 327 years ago. You remember our friend Norman Emden. Norman Emden, in one stage, he asked me to study with him a special thing that Rabbi Yaakov Emden wrote in the Sidur Ya'abet. We used to study, and he told me, because I didn't understand why Dafka he wanted that. He told me that he's from the roots of Rabbi Yaakov Emden. So he's somewhere along the line belong to Rabbi Yaakov Emden. And he explained, and he said, that when we say, Va'ani tefillati lecha Hashem et ratzon, why did they constitute that? He revealed to us something extraordinary. Rabotai, listen what he said, and with that I would like to end. Say Rabbi Yaakov Emden, and he revealed to us a secret, that the time of the Geulah, the time of the redemption of the Jewish people, will be on a Shabbos. On a Shabbos. And all that Shabbos, that day, the Jewish people will be in a great dire strait, until Sha'at Mincha, until the time of Mincha. And all of that time, the Jewish people will daven to the Almighty with all their heart. And straight in a time of Mincha, reveal the Ya'abet, Rabbi Yaakov Emden, straight as the time of Mincha come, listen what he said, the Mashiach going to be revealed himself, and he's going to redeem the children of Israel. That's going to be the redemption. What does it mean? That Ra'avad Ra'avim, we can reach the wishes of all wishes. We can actually, if we're focusing on it, and when we say, Va'ani tefillati lecha Adonai et ratzon, we can bring the Mashiach. What it means, et ratzon, a time of wishes. What is the main wishes? The main wishes that the Mashiach come. And the world going to reach to its final destination. What it means, the final destination? That's not going to be any more corruption, not going to be double standard. Everyone going to reveal and understand that the Almighty is the creator. There's no other people that worship X, worship Y. No, there's only one God, and they're all going to know that that's God. And the Mashiach going to come when? In the time of Mincha. The Zohar HaKadosh said, the time of Mincha on Shabbat, Avad Ravim, the wish of all wishes. What it means, the wish of all wishes? That we can bring the Mashiach on Shabbat. Now that the Mashiach can reveal himself and can redeem us on Shabbat. Be'ezrat Hashem, that if we focus on that time, that called Mincha of Shabbat, when we eat Suedat Shlishit, and when we daven Mincha, and when we say, Va'ani tefillati lecha Adonai et ratzon, a time of wishes, we should focus on all what we learn. But in that time, Kadosh Baruch Hu decide to create the world. And that time, okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's a special time. It's a time of longing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu have the desire to be with his kids. It's a time of compassion, mercy on the world. It's a time of kindness. It's a special time. Not only that, Ari Akadosh say that in that time, in the book Bnei Chala, listen to that the Akadosh Baruch Hu in that time doesn't allow the character trait of judgment to be. That means the character trait of judgment in that time, just before the end of Shabbat, in Suedat Shlishit, Akadosh Baruch Hu shut them down. There is no judgment in the world. That's the Ari Akadosh, Rabbeinu Yitzhak Luri Ashkenazi, and his poem, and his song, Bnei Chala. But at that time, Akadosh Baruch Hu said to all those that want to criticize against the Jewish people, all of those, the character trait of judgment, that means judgment in the world, Akadosh Baruch Hu stopped it for that time. Exactly the same like Yom Kippur. Can we now understand the virtue of time of the Ra'avad Rabim, the time of Mincha and Suedat Shlishit on Shabbat? And that's what the shoot. Okay? Let's say Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet. Okay? That time, just before the end of the 7, that's the peak. We're reaching to the peak. Isn't that amazing? So what do we learn from it? We learn that the time of Mincha, Rabotai, it's a time, it's a special, special time. That if we focus on that time, when we daven Mincha, when we eat Suedat Shlishit, when we sing in the song, we can bring the Mashiach if we focus. Because that time is a special time. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself with all the character trait of mercy, compassion, kindness, wishes, and longing to be with his children, the Jewish people. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will reveal himself to us. But he should reveal himself to us and send Mashiach Tzidkenu with no sorrow, with no agony, with no pain. Because Chazal say there is 2 ways that the Mashiach can come. The Mashiach comes in his time. Okay? If he comes in his time, it's full of sorrows. If he comes earlier, he comes without sorrows. That means Be'ita, in his time, it can be difficult, can be a lot of sorrow. But if we gonna be doing the good deeds, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can send us Mashiach, and we should pass all of that pain burst, all of that situation that we mentioned, the war of Armageddon, without any pain. And the beauty of Suedat Shlishit, Rabotai, is that the Suedat Shlishit, the person that eats Suedat Shlishit, Chazal in a Gemara in Masechet Shabbat explain that 118 folio 1, Chazal explain that the person that eats Suedat Shlishit, nitzol mimilchemet Gog uMagog. That means he been redeemed, he been saved. The Kadosh Baruch Hu will redeem them and save him from the word of Armageddon, from the war of Armageddon. So when we eat Suedat Shlishit next time, when we in Mincha of Shabbat next time, when we sit and we eat and we daven, we have to understand that precious time. What we can receive, what we can reach, to what wishes and what level we can get in that time. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bless us, that we should merit to see Mashiach Tzidkenu speedily in our days, and will say enough to all our sorries, to enough to all our pain, and they'll send Mashiach Tzidkenu, and he will release the hostages, he will cure all of those that need health, send refuah shlema to all of those that need refuah shlema, and build his own Bet HaMikdash speedily in our day. Amen, Ken Yehi Ratzon. Rabotai, I hope that you enjoyed the shiur. If there is any question, you please unmute the microphone and ask, and I'll try to answer the question. Bechavod.
Hello, it's Anthony. How are you?
Erev Tov, Anthony. Shavua Tov. How are you? Baruch Hashem, and you?
Right, thanks. The custom to say Mizmor David and Yedid Nefesh, to sing them Mizmor David, Yedid Nefesh, at Shabbat Shlishit. Where does that come?
Second. I lost you for a second. What did you say?
The custom to sing Yedid Nefesh on Suedat Shlishit and Mizmor David.
Where did they come from? Where did they come from? I'm not sure. Yes. I'm not sure who decided to wrote it, but Yedid Nefesh and Mizmor David, it's those songs. It's actually show the longing that we have to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's why they put it. Who exactly constitute that? I can't say. Where's that custom come from? I'm really not sure. I'm not sure. The Hasidim have nigunim. You know what is a nigun? Nigunim is not a song. They're doing a nigunim. Nigun is like a poem, you know, like a person saying, I don't know how to say nigun. Nigun is a nigun. What do you call it? A melody. That's the right word. They have melodies. And they have all different melodies. You follow? So each one have his own. The Hasidim, actually, some of the Hasidim, I know that Chabad, for example, doesn't eat Suedat Shlishit.
Yes.
From my experience with Chabad, I know that they don't eat Suedat Shlishit. They sing Nigunim.
So what do they do about the third meal? So the Hasidim, they don't have Suedat.
I don't know how they do Suedat Shlishit. I didn't spend time with them. Although my son-in-law is a Chabadnik, but I kept my own minhag. You know, we Sfaradim eat Suedat Shlishit. The Ashkenazim eat Suedat Shlishit. I don't know what they do. I know that they do nigunim. So what I used to do when I used to go to him, they used to sit and they used to sing nigunim. I used to run quick home, you know, to his flat, and we used to eat kazait bread, and we used to return after that to Maariv. I never used to stay for nigunim. So I don't know what they do for Suedat Shlishit. I can't comment for it. Beseder?
Okay, thanks very much.
With pleasure. Any other question, Rabota, regarding Suedat Shlishit, regarding Mincha Re'ava De'Re'avim, the time of the wishes of all wishes, the wish of all wishes? Any other question, Rabota, Bechavod? Anyone want to ask any other question? Jeffrey,
yes,
first of all, I'm so happy.
Quite a few
I'm
questions,
so happy
Ron.
to see you. I'm so happy to see you alive.
Ralph, this is very deep. I mean, it really is. The things that it's not easy to explain, and I want to start and ask my first question. Our first question: if Hashem, we know, created the world, it was like a Shabbos. And
No, not Shabbos. No. On a Sunday.
On the
Because the first day of the creation was a Sunday, Yom Rishon.
But the thought has to have been the day before. That's why
The
you had
thought
like
was before. When
so
before?
what was it?
It wasn't a day, because it was not.
But it was as if it was.
It was if it was if it's a Saturday night. That's it. If like a Saturday night. That's right.
Okay.
That's the word.
As if. Okay, but now, if it once things are renewed,
Yes.
or recreated, it's because the creation, what's there is always there, but it's like a renewal of the creation has been made. It's because we are part of that creation, and if we are recreated or renewed, we're not the same person the next week. And if we're not the same the next week,
exactly.
Question.
What does it mean? What does it mean? But wait, stop here. What does it mean? That every week HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with his mercy, with his compassion, with his kindness, gives us a chance to renew ourselves. What does it mean to renew ourselves? To become a different person.
Right. And if we renew ourselves every Shabbos, why do we need Yom Kippur to renew ourselves for the sins that we have, if we can renew ourselves every Shabbos?
No, on Shabbos we do atonement. On Yom Kippur we do atonement.
Yes.
We don't get renewed. That means if we take ourselves seriously and we work on ourselves, we can uplift ourselves spiritually to a higher level. Depends how your Shabbos look. That's Chazal say. You want to know how your Gan Eden gonna look? Look at your Shabbos. How do you enjoy your Shabbos? How do you respect your Shabbos? How is your meal of Shabbos? How do you sleep on Shabbos? How do you rest on Shabbos? How do you study on Shabbos? How do you enjoy your Shabbos? What food you eating? That's how your Gan Eden gonna look. And that's what we say when people ask you usually, how was your Shabbos? What do you say to him? Kemen Gan Eden. Shabbos is a tip of the taste of Gan Eden. That means that every Shabbos, and especially on that time, Minha in Suedat Shlishit, and that time just before Motzei Shabbat, the end of Shabbat, we can renew, we can revise ourselves, like a person do revise to his business. We can renew ourselves spiritually to a different level. Or Haz v'Shalom, I don't want to mention. You follow, Jeffrey?
Okay, so basically,
you can elevate yourself, or Haz v'Shalom.
But we've got
I don't want to mention that word.
But we've got to do that. You were saying that here that Hashem recreates everyone on the Saturday, but Hashem does that, but then how we've got to create ourselves. So it's really Hashem has given us the opportunity then to recreate us.
That's it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving you time, a special time, that it's bit after Mincha, from the time of Mincha of Shabbat, until just the end of Shabbat, to renew yourself, to become a different person, a new person. Depends what you want to do with yourself.
Yeah, right. Okay,
that means that you can renew yourself to a different level.
So it's an Eitzrat sign at Mincha time. We in English we call it a time of favor. It's a time of favor.
Okay.
That is Eitzrat sign.
Time of favor. That's fine.
It's a time
Whatever
of favor.
Name you want to give it.
Okay. Now I have a question. We have the three meals, and the three meals represents the three different aspects which you explained to us before, which is associated.
The three different aspects. Let me repeat them himself. That's Gemara Masechet Shabbat, 118, folio 1. Okay, a person that eat 3 meals, ניצול מחבלו של Mashiach. What it mean חבלו של Mashiach? The pain birth of Mashiach. Number 2, מדינה של גיהנם, the judgment of Gehenna. The third one is מלחמת גוג ומגוג, the war of Armageddon. בסדר?
Right.
Yeah.
So now you got those 3 very important, very important. It's a basic, it's a whole way of living. It's our thinking. Now, here we have, we're gonna have our food. We're gonna have our food. We're on Friday night, and it represents the one, and the Saturday lunch, Saturday lunch, and then the 3 meals. Now, what do you have in mind when you have the meal? Because when we have a meal, we make a bracha on what we're going to eat. Now, when we eat, our minds focus on the food that we're going to eat on that bracha. What do we have in mind at the time we make that bracha?
I know when you start to ask questions, you usually, there is mesal. For example, let me explain to you. There's people that shoot mesal, and there's people that shoot mesal. When America shoot the mesals on the Houthis, they destroy them. When you shoot a mesal, it's like an atomic bomb. Your question is like atomic bomb. So first of all, when you eat Suedat of Shabbat, first of all, the first thing that you should focus on a simple thing. Pshat of the Dvarim. Hazal tell me in a Gemara Masechet Shabbat, 118, folio 1. Sorry, 117, folio 2. That there is a mitzvah to eat 3 meals. Okay? I'm obligated to eat 3 meals of Shabbat. I'm fulfilling that mitzvah. By that you're eating it with enjoyment. You're not eating it just because you're hungry, or when you're having your schnapps, you're having your whiskey. People love to drink whiskey. When you're having your whiskey, you're drinking it in the honor of Shabbat. You're not drinking it because you want to get sober. No, you're drinking it because I want to enjoy Shabbat. I take a tot, and that's my enjoyment in honor of Shabbat. That means that you sanctify the food, the drink, whatever you're enjoying on Shabbat. For what? You sanctify them for the sake of heaven, for the sake of Shabbat. That's the focus that we should have. Not the focus like lehavdil, like the goyim have. When they have a feast, they eat, they drink, they get drunk with no seichel. The Torah doesn't tell us. The Torah tells us, derech eretz kadama la Torah. Okay? That we should eat, we should share brocha, and we should understand that the main reason that we're eating is to give us enough strength, enough energy to study Torah and to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But Shabbos, it's a day of rest. It's a day that we're resting and we're fulfilling our covenant with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're enjoying our meal for the sake of sanctifying that day. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes. So that I hear you. So the
food of Shabbat. So the food of Shabbat, it's usually different from all week. The drink that we drink on Shabbat should be different. The clothes that we wear on Shabbat should be different. The talis that we have on Shabbat should be different. Everything on Shabbat should be different. You understand?
So when do we have in mind? So when do we have in mind that we're having these meals are for bringing the 3?
So it starts, very, very good question. That starts with the preparation of Shabbat. When the wife starts cooking for Shabbat, when the wife starts baking for Shabbat, when the husband prepared the candle for the wife, for the wife. When you buy the food for Shabbat, that's when it started. But the final focusing, it has to be on Shabbat when I'm eating. I'm eating those meals to sanctify that day, to show that that day is a special day. It's a covenant between me and the Almighty, between me as a Jew and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that I'm his son. It's not between HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the rest of the nation, because they didn't got this covenant. It's only us. Ubayom HaShvi'i Shabbat. What it means Shabbat? Not Shabbat, Shabbat. HaKadosh Baruch Hu stuff. Shabbat v'inafash. Beni ubenechem. Ot hi le'olam. Beni, HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, between him, ubenechem, between us. Ot is a sign forever. Shabbat.
You've actually given the meaning to v'yinafash. And we're
That's it.
refreshed. And that word
Absolutely.
actually
What it means to refresh?
recreate.
To refresh from the 6th day of the holy days, the 6th day of the week, that the person go and work and focus about whatever he focus. No, on Yom HaShabbat, it's a day of rest. It's a day that you should give also part to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to study Torah. And that's why it's so important that on Shabbat to learn. And when is the highest peak time? That when you learn Shi'ur Torah, and then you daven Mincha, and then Suedat Shlishit, then you like elevating your neshama to a different level.
Thank you.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, thanks, Rob.
You see, like, Jeffrey, it's like an aeroplane. Before the aeroplane lift up his nose, we call it the nose, the front of the aeroplane. The aeroplane run on a runway. You have to have a bit of a moment, what we call it, a moment. And he start taking, and slowly start lifting his nose. And as he's lifting his nose, okay, he start to take off. So to take off, to reach to the peak, you have to have a shi'ur, to study Torah, to prepare your neshama, and then you daven mincha, okay? And then you do Suedat Shlishit with singing, and that's when you can start taking off. You follow?
Yes.
I hope that I explained myself. That's what I'm trying to explain. I hope that I explain it properly, that you understand.
Yes, very good. Not easy.
Good. Not easy. It's a bit depth. I knew. I tell you the truth. I saw that the level of the guys here can understand. So I'm going now. If you look, the showing that we're starting to give, it's at a different level. I'm bringing a bit more depth with them, so you guys can understand that where we're going from here. It's in a different level. So we're trying to basically to excel. Yes, who want to ask question? I see Frank want to ask question. Yes, Frank, bechavod. Frank, unmute yourself, bechavod. Frank? Frank, can you unmute yourself? I see Frank put his hand. Yes, Frank, how are you?
Okay, you know, I've been troubling to unmute my phone. I've been pressing unmute. I've been trying everything. Oh, I want to ask you something, Rabbi. This is my thought. I thought that every day Hashem renews the world. Every day, every second of the day, Hashem renews the world. Now, you says he's renewing the world for 1 week. Now, what happens? And he renews the animals, the trees, the human beings. Now, what happens to a human being if he renews the world for a week? And unfortunately, during that week, you pass away or you have an illness. So is it not every day he renews you? If he renews you for a week, why would you pass away during that week if that week is renewed? That's my question.
Very good. הקדוש ברוך הוא מחדש עולמו בכל יום. הקדוש ברוך הוא renew his world in every day. But what does it mean to renew his world for another week? It means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu given us enough energy for another week.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? The energy that we get, it's for a week. Every week we get a new energy. Do you understand?
Right. Yes.
Energy is one thing. That's that he renew us, and that's what you say every morning when you wake up. Modeh ani lefanecha. Nachon?
Yes.
What did you say? Modeh ani lefanecha, melech el hai v'kayam shehazarta bi nishmati. That you given me back my soul. Nachon?
Yes. Nachon, yeah.
That means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving you energy for a week. When do you receive that energy for a week? Just before Motzei Shabbos.
Okay.
That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with his mercy and compassion, continue to give you energy every day to live, it's something else. Every day, he giving you a different energy. Because sometimes people feel on a Sunday very tired, for example. Okay? I'm just giving an example. But on a Monday, you wake up with a different energy. Nachon?
Right.
And when do you feel like you really finish? When do you feel like you really finish? Towards the Friday. Like you feel like everyone, you need to recharge your battery. You know what I'm saying? By the end of the week.
Yes. Right.
What does it mean? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu recharge our battery for a week. When do we recharge it? Just before Motzei Shabbos.
Okay.
Follow?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Shukran.
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Very good question.
Thank you.
Eitan, you wanted to ask question. My friend Eitan. Eitan, bechavod, you wanted to ask a question. I saw that you tried to unmute. You wanted to ask something, Eitan. Bechavod. Eitan, are you with us? No, Eitan doesn't have a question.
No, there. I was trying to unmute. I couldn't unmute.
Yes, Eitan. Shavua Tov. How are you, my friend?
I used to listen to your shir, go fetch my son from work and back already again, and listen to your shir still. How's that?
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. I'm happy to hear that. I hope that you enjoyed it. That's
very
the most
much,
important.
very much. I do very much struggle with this part of Shabbos, is the whole Shabbos Shudas and everything. I don't know if you mentioned about the fruit, because I was in and out of the conversation a bit. Okay. I don't know if you mentioned about eating fruit.
Let me explain to you. Shabbos, it's a day that only the Jewish people got. If a goy, Hazal tell us, goy sheshomer Shabbat, a goy, a Gentile that keeps Shabbos, hayav mita, obligated for the punishment of death. A goy that keeps Shabbos, Hazal tell us that he obligated for the punishment of death. Listen, Eitan, it's not easy to reach to those high levels. Also, you have to be in a right environment to build yourself to take off, like I explained to our friend Jeffrey. An airplane cannot suddenly, it's not like a helicopter that go up. Even a helicopter, you have to turn his spin to a certain speed until he stopped coming off the ground, slowly. But we have such a special motor, such a big engine, that's our neshama. Now, that neshama have a certain needs, the same like an engine needs petrol. Our neshama needs spirituality. To take off, you need to fill up with enough fuel to lift you up. We need enough energy. How do you do that? You do that by studying Torah, You do that by connecting to Yiddishkeit, connecting to Rabbi, that can help you to excel, to go up. So now it's a personal invitation for me to you. Every Shabbos at Yeshiva College, I give an hour before Mincha, whatever the time of Mincha, I usually send it on a group. Okay, I give a shiur on Parashat Shavua, what we give on a Thursday, but on Shabbos, I give it with a different dimension, with more depth. Okay? Like, I didn't have a chance this Shabbos to do that, but I'll share it with you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in Parashat Teruma, tell us to build a tabernacle, the Mishkan. Okay? The Mishkan been made from 48 planks. Each planks was 10 amah. 10 amah, 5 meters long. Amah is a half a meter. It's actually 48 centimeters. But let's make it a half a meter. It's easier to remember. Take 10 times 48, 480. What's the symbol about it? What's the gematria of it? At night, we can't speak about it, but I explained it in the past that there is a special thing that the Mishkan being built, especially in a wilderness, to overcome the evil forces. I can't speak about it at night. We understand. So what I'm trying to say, Eitan, that if you join the Shorim and you can come on Shabbos, you'll get a different dimension that we can excel together, and your neshama will get that special petrol, special energy, and you'll feel a different level. And then when you feel a different level, you'll see that your Shabbos is going to look different. All your Shabbos is going to change. The whole that sometimes you can't eat. You can't eat bread, beseder. But the energy that you recharge yourself on Shabbos will help you for the rest of the week. You understand what I'm saying? That means that you put enough fuel in your tank. That means that you recharge your soul enough until the next week. You understand what I'm saying, Eitan? I hope that I explained myself.
You say every day in the Shir Shel Yom, you say Yom Sheni Shel Shabbat.
היום יום אחד בשבת קודש, היום יום שני בשבת קודש, שלישי בשבת קודש. On the sixth day, what you say, היום יום השישי. You don't say יום שישי, יום השישי, בה"א הידיעה. Why השישי? To tell you that on a sixth, בו' בסיוון, קיבלו את התורה. That if we wouldn't receive the Torah on the 6th of Sivan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will turn the world back to what it was before, Tohu Vavohu. So what does it tell us? That where is the energy come? Our energy for our neshama from the Torah. That sometimes people have to go to holiday. I'm not talking about that. People sometimes need to rest from work. But to charge the batteries, to give enough power, you electrician, give enough power, you need to charge. How do you charge your neshama, your soul, to connect? It's only Torah. Beseder? Eitan, I hope that I explained myself. You understand me?
Thank you. Toda Rabba.
Okay, pleasure. Any other question, Rabotai? No. Okay, and that's, I would like to wish all of you, first of all, Shavua Tov, a beautiful week ahead to all of you. Louis, I met your son-in-law, and he asked me if on Shabbos, he was sitting next to me, and he came here for 2.5 weeks. He told me, and he said, if I'm in touch with you, I said, sure, you join the Shorim every week. So your son-in-law was with me on Shabbos, Louis. And I've told them that I'm going to send my regards, and here I'm fulfilling my obligation. That I'm sending you my regards, and he sent his regards. Rabotai, I take the opportunity to wish all of you Shavua Tov, a beautiful
Thank you.
week ahead. Louis, you have a regards from your son-in-law and his daughter.
Yes,
huh?
I heard every word. I heard every word. I just couldn't unmute. I couldn't unmute.
No, but did he mention to you that I saw him on Shabbos or not yet?
Not yet. I haven't spoken.
Okay, he will tell you. He will tell you. Okay,
Lovely.
so Rabotai, thank you for joining us. I hope that you
Thank
enjoyed
you.
the show,
I did.
and
Thank you.
have a beautiful week. And that I
Thank
hope
you.
that will give you a different dimension about Suedat Shlishit and
Yeah.
Mincha of Shabbat. Have a good night, everyone, and Shavua
Thank
Tov
you.
to all of you. All the best. Good night. Thank you for joining us.
Thank